So I don't know if the background noise is being heard right now from flat 4 Oak House. It totally sounds like they're broadcasting somewhere. They've been, oh my God. So I've just been stabbed in my private area. These people have been admitting things that you see on the Sexual Offences Act of 2003. These attacks they're doing on me are not new in England. Voyeurism and upscaling. The criminal mentality, mindset of it. Someone could possibly burgle, have access to your property somehow, bug your property, hack you, insert some sort of recording devices, and totally be filming you and exposing your private moments to other people. So if you can hear some background noise in my flat, I am alone. Zubia, Hannah, and Zane know how they are recording me, raping, beating, such severe beatings. If I've been trying for a baby with a partner, they make sure I have a miscarriage. 20 or added sugar to the tea. At some point during making a cup of tea, they would know how to access me somehow. I was going to jobs in South London, all the way across the Thames. East London, West London, not so much, but I did go. North London too. So I'm alone as I record this. I am human. I have capacity, according to the Mental Health Act of 1983 and according to the Human Act of 1998. Last year, I was being intimidated so much while still experiencing all these beatings, mostly beatings. I ran to the mosque. My partner had already been intimidated, ex-partner. And then denied we were in a relationship. I used to hear that from the neighbors, that he denied it. I refused to accept it for a very long time. So, apparently these things that they mimic, that they simulate, are aimed at me to simulate behavior that is jittery, to make me appear anxious. They used to do an itching and scratching thing. So you just look totally insane while you pull your hair out. I'm trying to sleep. I've just called emergency services and had to describe rape while I live alone, and they're next door describing things. Tonight they're not describing, but on the 18th of October, Zubia said, I'm going to be voyeurizing her all night until the police come. On one night before that, it was a Thursday, the neighbors, the other flatmates in there, laughed at Zubia when I remembered there was a service. And they started laughing, saying, oh, I'm going to kill you. So I ignored it. I was in a hurry. I dashed off to go to the service. And then realized, okay, there was no service locally because it normally is in Hackney. So when I came back, they were still talking about it. How, had you not gone out, maybe he would have killed you. So I still ignored it. Eventually, I was getting to bed. I fell asleep, did everything else that I do in my... And they were discussing a running commentary was being narrated about how Zubia was going to kill me that night. Probably Hannah was expressing her thoughts. Now, voyeurism being... If someone comes across this video, please pick up as much information as you can. Articulate it properly, because perhaps I'm not. Report all these issues, please, to the police. Because since the 31st of July, 2025, Zubia has been confessing he's not a Muslim, he's a radicalist. He's been giving up the rest of the team. He's been sharing how they're fraudulent. They were stealing things from my post, my deliveries, when I was setting up my flat just after I'd purchased it. Last year, they stole my land registry certificate. They were burgling my flat. They were taking so many things, sometimes even clothing items, just to do rituals, to make sure that things don't go well with me, that I lose my property. Yesterday, I got a call from the housing association. They part own my flat. I own 25%, they own 75%. And they were informing me, after more than a year of me trying to chase up repairs for my flat, and paying rent, I could not just pay rent without knowing how to go about repairing my flat. Yesterday, I got a call that we're going to try and repossess your flat. They've been doing rituals, walking all over my patio, trying to break in when I'm in here, saying they're going to take my property. Since last year, they became more obvious. At first, the attacks were about relationships, trying to keep me isolated so that I don't have any help, so that I don't get into any relationship, so that I never get married, apparently. I've been hearing them discussing these things lately. And even when I did then get into a relationship, like I said, they eventually intimidated the man until he decided there was no relationship. So when I have friends or accommodate other people, they're totally being courageous. They've eventually got keys to my flat, but before this, they didn't need keys. They were burgling my flat. Now I've chained up the door that they could easily open. Yesterday, the day before, Hannah eventually confessed that she's a mental health patient. It doesn't take much for police to take people in, run their prints, find out who they really are. Because this person is totally, I don't know, between them, the three of them, they are also allowing other people to get access to my address and use my address to register their identities. It's unacceptable because they could just be doing that on their own address, flat 4. The only challenge is that flat 4 might not belong to any of them. See, Hannah has been lying to me since 2021, I think, when she decided to pry into my private affairs and said yes. And she said they owned theirs too and that they were married. Roll on 2025, they're not married. The guy eventually shouted at Hannah and said, I will never marry you. That was the beer. Look at your dress. etc, etc. It was long and shameful. It was not nice. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But the couple that profess to have been married are not married. The confusion around their relationship, I guess to some extent maybe was cleared up. But, oh goodness gracious, the degradation that I experienced with these two, who are now grooming Zayn. The criminal levels of assault, the misrepresentation, telling people that they own my property because they have burgled and taken bank statements, land registry reports. I mean, I have heard that they have disclosed that they are they're called Rumbi. How? Maybe they changed their names. But as far as I know, they have my bank statements in there. So they are impersonating now. That's fraud. I'm not yet finished changing my name, so a lot of my functions are still called Caroline Rumbi. So when someone calls themselves Rumbi and is consistent with my business communications, with my property, and the things I'm going through. For example, sometimes they will call as they're broadcasting. I think they still must have some sort of studio equipment going on. I think it's just not fair. I really should not be going through this. It's not a crime to be owning this flat. But they've totally massacred my reputation, business communications. When I call people, they all act weird. It's like, what's happened to business communications? financial people, legal people. Right. That broadcasting audience is shouting things from flat 4. Apparently, they're trying to annoy me so that I act violent, so that I act aggressive, and then they call me a mental health patient on some sort of mania. While I am being sexually assaulted in a terrible way and is being exposed to the world. As I mentioned, this has happened to another woman who was pictured in the metro and eventually was compensated these sexual assaults. The other criminal behavior, impersonating, rallying around men who would actually take care of me and so on. I do not profess to know everything. I shouldn't enjoy this for even another moment. Do report this to police. I am struggling to convey the messages. There's so many laws. By the time I actually find something to report, it's been rehearsed over and over among. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do.